Hey,
How are you, buddy?
what's up,
Thank you
Dan?
for Brad, good friend. Thank you, Scott, for the introduction. I want to thank Bill Barry for also supporting us on this webinar. We are excited to do our standard Q&A with everybody here. Really appreciate people taking their time and to listen to us. We're going to
I
begin
mean,
really
is it ever really standard, Dan?
not when I'm driving.
Not when you're
And
driving.
Brad, you should have said ding, 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 ding. See, so guys, I'm working on technique. I'm telling myself that I'm not allowed to say you know and really. So working on that. Brad, we're going to proceed with a disclaimer. Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. If you would like advice on your specific investment needs, you would need to consult a registered investment advisor for that information, and nothing that's going to be said by myself, Brad, Scott, Bill, Barry, or anyone you find at Trade Ideas should be construed as investment advice. All the information is for educational and informational purposes only. Brad, the theme has not changed. We excel beyond any other vendor in fintech at using the past to prove the future. This is again a common theme, and what this talks about is the no nonsense, no fight about fundamental technical uh, duration approach to speculation in investing, but rather talks about the science and which way the wind is blowing from a purely statistical point of view. It provides an advantage to all of our subscribers and lets us, Brad, as you've seen, enjoy growth that we think is really exemplary in the fintech industry.
Exemplary and commensurate with the tech.
Exemplary and commensurate with the tech. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to minimize the presentation. I'm going to come back to it a little back and forth. But since many people here in the webinar have never used our software, I've kind of started to begin with a welcome screen, which is a very easy method of getting started with our technology and also completely functional. Brad, damn it. I did it again. Brad,
You cursed and you said,
I'm
all
I it's such a terrible habit.
right.
I
Well,
can't
it'll take some time, I'm sure.
I I would like to speak more clearly using proper words. This welcome screen is functional. Unlike many that simply give you a glance at what we have, all of the elements in the welcome screen are elements that you can use. If I wanted to, I could click on this and this would launch the pre-market channel. If you want to just see what we're doing from a strategies point of view, in terms of just exploring the technology, you can go to the strategies, you can explore the different elements of the software.
So let
All
me let me stop you. Let me pause you right there, Dan, because you touched on the channels, which was that first tab that you looked at, which was really kind of a compilation of a variety of different strategies. It's a layout or a workspace, if you will.
well,
Uh,
it's a Netflix-esque environment where you can look for information visually, pleasantly, without having to go to the computerization of the data when you're looking at T-tables and stuff like that.
so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pause you. I just kind of wanted to bring in the hierarchy, if you will.
Right, right. We are looking to make it easier for you. One of the things that we're focusing on, value on the first impression, and this is one of the ways that we're looking to do it. You can expand, you can dig in, examples. There's a lot more here than most people know. And I think we've really sold ourselves short, Brad, by not showing people how easy it is to navigate this tool without all of the windows there like we usually have
I mean,
previously done.
it's really kind of a gateway to the infinite number of different strategies that you can create yourself. Like, I mean, we give you like this up 50 cents in the last 5 minutes. We show you how to configure it. We show you all the filter settings, but if you want to change that to something different, it's really easy to do. So it's not only gives you the ability to kind of hit the ground running and automatically start using it, it's also kind of that educational roadmap to doing some of your own stuff later on.
That's, I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's why I'm here, Dan.
Exactly. We have always focused on making it so that the end user could get to the value in the quickest way possible. That's something that we know that when we first started the software, it probably leaned a little bit more on the complex, and we've taken a long time to move it now to the point where we're getting much closer to taking action at first glance than ever before. So going back to the channels, okay, here someone had asked about, Edgar had asked about penny movers. So what I'm going to show you is I can click on this right here, and all of a sudden here you have the software. Is everyone able to see that? I want to make sure that my screen is visible and everyone's
Your screen's updating. It's updating.
Good, good, good. So this is the Penny Movers channel. We have the AI channel, and this is our Netflix lineup. We are much like a cable provider in that we go through the work of creating functional strategies for you, including, for example, Barry's welcome screen. Barry, as you know, is the moderator of our trading room, and I have a slide for him, but I simply wanted to showcase the fact that if anybody is ever interested in Barry's specific ideas and how he generates those ideas, and of course, if need be, Barry changes these possibly, but the point is, we give all of our clients access to this data. So what you're seeing here is an augmented reality view through the eyes of the expert. So here's how Barry does it, okay? This is his viewpoint, and Barry's excellent trading style is always available to everybody.
And it's also good to point out that, like on Barry's layout, for instance, right here, he's using a variety of all the different visualization windows that we have, the alert, the top list, the multi-strategy. And so, I mean, it's really kind of cool how he's got little different purposes for each one of these windows.
And all throughout the day, Barry explains the essence of what he's doing and his methodology. And in our trading room, which is much like the real CNBC, or what CNBC should be, if I should say, it focuses on the kind of plays and the kind of things that individual investors actually do throughout the day. Take on risk, manage that risk, and behave in a manner that is conducive to increasing account sizes. We have a meritocracy of fantastic trade ideas users who share information and pass knowledge to one another all throughout the day. And again, Barry is the moderator, and he's in here as well. Everybody just stand up and give him a standing ovation.
I mean, trading is such a unique endeavor, and I think Barry does just a great job of kind of highlighting his own unique way of doing it, which is really kind of a real hybrid approach to kind of using the windows that he's created and modified, as well as using the artificial intelligence, the signals that are created by Holly. And so it's a nice approach, and he's really found a real sweet spot using these tools. It's a great thing to be able to watch it in action in real time.
As Brad and I have mentioned in previous webinars, the other thing that's happening right now, and we reiterate this because, again, there are many people that are new to this, but if you are not new, if you're just watching this and watching this from the screen, remember that this is kind of what you call a higher level function. So sometimes it's so subtle, it goes unnoticed. And of course, what I'm referring to is the fact that the software is surfing you automatically through the windows. Now, to someone who's just starting, most likely this is one of the most underrated but yet superb functions within the Trade Ideas technology sphere. What you're doing is you're seeing visual reps of setups and behavioral assessment of the setups. And anywhere you go in our software, the same situation applies. So here we are on the social media, on the social media channel. And in our social media channel, we are integrating structured data, which is the data that comes from the exchanges, with unstructured data from social media. So we combine those two, do our own internal statistical analysis on it, and of course, at the same time, now showcase to you, ladies and gentlemen, these are the stocks that are being discussed quite a bit on social media and are making some serious moves. So here at the top, you've got bullish sentiment, and at the bottom, you've got the bearish sentiment, all rolled into one, and pure social media data-driven activity in the alert window, where you can see as soon as a stock is being talked about a certain level, like for example here, GameStop at that moment in time and after hours was being discussed 8 times the average daily social activity. So that means that whatever is going on in GameStop is enough to where someone is seriously talking about it. And of course, Brad, dear friend of mine, when you bring up GameStop, you cannot miss the fact that your friendly neighborhood software had a short sell on GameStop at what price?
Yeah, right below 20, huh?
Yeah. Now, obviously, this also takes into account the fact that investing is not easy. But if you are able to maintain a position, and this one would have never risked you out of it per se. In fact, you were up quite a bit over here. No doubt testy, right, Brad? That does not feel good. But I'm just saying that here is yet another function of Trade Ideas that kind of goes unnoticed or maybe underrated, and that is the software is telling you, hey guys, when I traded this before, what did I do? I sold short. And look what's happened. So the software kind of got a feel for it, and this happens also every other time you go through the technology as it's surfing different stocks. If it had traded one before, it will tell you that it did so, and it'll show you how it did. This is, again, the kind of teaching that, Brad, I cannot speak more about it. It's almost as if what we've done here is we rolled up the best teacher in real life examples constantly throughout the day, reiterating the proper methodology visually for you to assess a trade. So here's an example. And by the way, here's another example of when and how buy and hold and all these things can fail you no matter what. So here again, the software identifies a great longer term trend. It looks amazing, right guys? Reiterates it, everything looks fine. It's still, again, from the swing trade, it looks fine here, but then news comes out. This
I mean, that is just horrific. That is
well, it's not, it's so horrific, but also let's talk about the horrific nature of it in the sense that you have to understand that these things happen.
Oh, it is.
And
it's part of the market.
And also unpredictable, you know, Brad? Like, there is no way that the software could have known that this would have happened because it's an outlier event. And you have to be prepared in the market that this can take place. Will it? What is the likeliness? It's not high. This is kind of like getting bitten by a great white shark. But it's a shark that's been visible. And how do you see it? That relative volume, Brad. I mean, there's other sharks in the water. and not all of them are, deadly. So back to what we are talking about is this proper reiteration of information in the stock market. That's what we are specializing on. And then there's something else. With trade ideas, you're not only being given the technology that allows you to do whatever it is that you would have wanted to do if you knew what you wanted to do. But we also realize that, Brad, the problem often lies in the fact that most investors just don't know what to do. What should you be doing with your money? It's a difficult question because, number one, there's philosophical elements to it, but number two, and this is the hard one, it's financial elements. What's your account size? What can you afford to risk? How much money do you have, saved up? I said it again, Brad, you didn't catch me.
Sorry.
Bad guy.
I'm so used to it, right?
You don't hear it. That's the thing. I don't either. But how much money you have saved up, what you're able to risk, these are critical components to proper speculation. You have to know. And there are different strategies to small accounts and big accounts. I can't discuss that here because that's not the best time for the Q&A because we're software focused. We're trying to tell you, how do you get the most out of using this technology? Okay, and you get the most out of it by being able to, well, say, okay, $77 stock, Eli Lilly, maybe that's a little bit out of my reach, but JNP, maybe I could do that. The AI does a lot in different directions. You could limit yourself to certain types of specific strategies. But here's something else. Notice that it's clearly telling you that there's a bias. Brad, what's the bias?
It's a short bias.
The AI has been on this short bias early. This is the other thing that we talk about. That doesn't mean that the market is going to continue to go down or go down forever, or that we are predicting. We're just saying that the statistics point to more downward momentum. Listen to these words, they're important. Look at these moves that you're seeing here. Okay. There is a bit of what you call carnage. Okay, and the carnage is not only in small stocks, like you saw that edge, the carnage is also in big stocks. But what does that mean in terms of you guys, the people that are here, the ones that are trying to get something out of this information? Listen to me. There's so much money to be made on the short side. Wealth transformational amount of money. Look at what the AI is telling you. It's like if you have the best trainer or guru or whatever it is that you think is the proper way to do it, to learn something, here is what he is telling you. Why do we think this is the way to do it, Brad? We think that because all throughout mammalian and specifically human evolution, only one way of learning proves the best, which is mimicking and mentoring. In other words, when young lions get ready, they follow the adults on the hunt. Learning in a textbook, reading a textbook about trading is going to give you nothing. It's just concepts and ideas. Trading happens in real time. It's visual. It's emotional. That's what's so beautiful about it. It's everything that you can imagine rolled up into kind of like this one thing where ultimately you are responsible for your outcome because you alone press the buy button and you alone press the sell button. There's nothing more pure, Brad.
Oh, it's an amazing thing. It really is. It's hard to describe unless you've really, done it and put some leverage on the line on a trade.
And it also tells you so much about yourself. Listen, everyone, I mean, I get chills when I talk about it in this way, but it frees the spirit. Even when you lose in trading, you learn something about yourself. And if you can take a spiritual approach to it, you find out that it is so helpful because it lets you know who you are. But more importantly, from our point of view and for why you were here at the webinar, is this. We've learned so much in our lifetime of investing. Between myself, Brad, we're one of the original pioneers of electronic trading, going all the way back, Brad, when dinosaurs ruled the earth in the 1990s, when cars had keys and tape. I had a tape deck in my car, Brad.
Cassette deck, yeah.
Anybody else here have a tape deck in their car? Edgar's like, yes, I have one. But that goes back to, again, we're one of the few that have been doing it for such a long time that people who came into it in 2000, who are now like claim to be like the experts of all experts, to us they're like, oh my God, we've been doing this since 1994. And all of that knowledge is inside this technology. So that's why what I want to do is I want to move this up a little bit, and we reiterate this part of the presentation as well. But okay, so notice that every stock that you will see on Trade Ideas has some breakdowns in them. Okay, so the breakdowns are, you see this line right here. This is the swing trade line, and by the way, this is something that's available to everybody, whether premium or basic subscription to Trade Ideas, and MGNX also. And I guess it went up after ours, right? It must have had earnings or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is the swing stop, and during the day, if we are in the trades, you will see whichever the direction, the green and the red, so that you can visually be able to take the proper behavior, act upon it, and then repeat. We teach you not to get stuck in emotional trades where you invest yourself into an outcome that you can't control. That's the funny thing, Brad. People don't realize this, and it is quite simple. And that is that when they enter the stock market, it's kind of like the diet and the exercise. You can't out-train a bad diet. You can't out-trade bad risk management, which is why we always tell you, if you can follow the colors, the green, the red, the software shows you what to do. It's that simple. Regardless of if you're in the AI or if you're just on any of the other channels. Just like social media, by the way, in Trade Ideas, you have an ability to see a stock and like it, and then the software will follow that stock for you forever until you unlike it on this channel. So all of these stocks are stocks that I at one time or another liked, and you can go back and you can change it, and you can say, I don't like that one, no, I'm not interested in that one, and you can always modify it. So the software works with you all the time. So this channel is kind of like the first example of, Brad, a custom channel that is different for every single person. It follows you around.
Boy, you found some good losers today out of that one, huh?
Thank you very much. Well, the
just
point
big percentage movers, really. That's all.
Yeah, and that's the point. And again, you can sort this information any way you like it. You can see the good stuff and the bad stuff. But what we are trying to communicate is that we do not believe that there's any more pure way to see stock market data than Trade Ideas through this channel and through our graphically depicted, embedded trading and investing navigational education. It's just like driving in a foreign city. You don't know where you are. You know the rules of the road, you know, in America at least. You know how to use the green light, the red light, the signals, but you don't exactly know which way the streets go. This is the same analogy. Brad, you like that?
I like that.
Yeah, because I think it kind of makes sense. Everything interacts with you. You can touch it, you can augment it. In other words, you can say, hey, I like this, especially if it went right here. You can instantly interact with it and say, got ya. So now, once I hit save, this is here. It's the software, once again, follows you around.
I mean, it's
So
great. It's different levels of notification, right? So you've got it, you've hearted it, so it's already in your channel here, so you can always monitor that movement. And then if it breaches that threshold that you set there, it's going to be popped up and you're going to be notified, and you can make that decision right then and there. It's really a great 1-2 punch.
It's a great 1-2 punch, and it allows me to then segue, Brad, to the next thing that we're doing, which you guys don't see yet, but you're here for the Q&A, and which is where you learn the things that are on the table. So Brad, maybe we can discuss with you. I've given them a taste. Tell me about what's going to happen in the custom channel bar, because that's something that's going to be new and very potent.
So look, guys, we listen to you, and what is about 4 years ago, we put out the channel bar, and we've had a lot of people wanting to personalize it and customize it. So we are working on some functionality now that will allow each user to have their own custom channel bar. If you want to create your own workspace and have a custom channel for it, you'll be able to do that. So I think that's going to be a pretty nice feature that is going to go over very well.
As Brad said, listening to the end users, creating a more personalized experience helps, believe it or not, on the psychological side of trading, making more fluid, improved decisions and risk management. So again, let me sum up. The AI, which is the most powerful speculative technology available on the planet, and I'm serious, it is, has been playing much more of the short side than ever we have ever seen it before. Brad, would you agree with what I'm saying?
Well, I would. We've been watching this thing for a while now, over a year and a half.
Well, right. It's a year. So we started.
And I was going to say, it's important to know that like these strategies that you see here, the ones that were chosen for today as potential strategies, we had no idea what was going to be in there. I mean, we knew it could have been any number of about 40 different strategies that we've created. Every day they get optimized, and it automatically chooses which strategies are going to be present the next day. And then, of course, we're not choosing which signals get chosen out of each strategy. It's when all the filters are satisfied, it'll do it. So we've been watching this for some time, and predominantly through a bullish move, we've seen nothing but long trades, maybe a sporadic short signal here or there. But recently, and it really corresponds with what's been happening in the major markets. I mean, recently we've seen so many more short strategies, plus so many more short triggers from those strategies.
It's the most we've seen since we've ever launched the AI. So you're listening to the COO and the CEO telling you new information.
So Edgar, yes, but Holly at this point is not auto trading for you. Everything is a manual process, although we've created a tool here, Brokerage Plus, which makes it really easy for you to see a signal generated in Holly, decide that you want to participate in it, and it's just a right click.
So let me,
go ahead.
Let me just demonstrate how that's done. I can sort everything by the time. And since I'm in California, of course, the market opens at 6:30 in the morning here, West Coast time. The first entry would have been a long entry in signal in JNP at 6:59 a.m. So that is right around 30 minutes after the open.
In other words, about 60 cents.
Right. It was a good. So let's look at that trade. JNP. Let me move this away. Move all this stuff, just so everyone can see exactly what we. So what kind of a trade is JNP, and why did Holly do it? So JNP was this type of trade where we look at a statistical oversell. I mean, that's the best way that I think we can describe it. In other words, is called mean reversion, when something happens that seems so out of place or so overdone that the proper speculative move possibly is to try to go in the other direction. And that's what the software did. So it bought that at $9.40, and it pretty much went kind of up.
Well, it went up to $10 over a 10-minute period of time. No, just 10 minutes. Those are 5-minute candles. So, you know, it triggered, and then 10 minutes later, it was up 60 cents.
Yeah.
Right. And then it pulled back and we got out of it, which is your risk off profit. When it decides to get out of the trade, that's your risk off profit. But that doesn't mean you should stop watching it, or, you know, you may want to not get out of it. And in that particular case, the risk on profit is going to be calculating all the way to the end of the day. So it'll tell you what the profitability is all the way to the market close.
And Brad, people ask us, how do I know if I'm risk on or risk off? That's a great question. And I would say the best way to answer that question is your account size and what you're willing to tolerate. If you have a larger account, you can be more risk on, but never go below the red. Like once a stop is hit, a stop is hit. And so that also, Brad, kind of brings us to the other part, which is, so the signal went on, you see JNP come across, you see the price, and you know, it would have been hovering around here. You would right click on it and say trade JNP. Once you do that, your brokerage plus comes alive, it connects to interactive brokerage, and it by that time, you would only say trade if you had already set it up and you're ready to go. And then that's how you do it. It's a one click and it gets sent to brokerage plus. Once it's there, you can manage it from there. What's beautiful, Brad, is when you see a risk off trade, exit, for example, there's a button on brokerage plus that says, hey, would you like to take half off? So you can just click on it and go half. Okay, you know, again, if your risk tolerance, otherwise wait to the stop or let it go all day. Those are the only other options.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of bringing the gray box stuff into it, which is pretty cool because like you said, when you go ahead and do that trade order, it's putting in your profit target based on your instructions, putting in your stop loss, putting in your time stop if you want to have a time stop. And then, you know, like I said, you could gray box it and you can completely take control over it at any time if you want to.
Right, and we have people that work at Trade Ideas that can help you set all of that up. We have experts on all elements of this technology, and we now have Trade Ideas University, which is a full curriculum kind of university training, not paid, right, Brad? It's part of what we do, right? And you can sign up, you can be in a class, you can see all the details of everything that I'm talking about. Notice, by the way, that you can right click from the chart. Isn't that nice, guys? So you don't have to be right here. You can see this here, but it'll surf you there, and then you can right click and go right to the chart. Of course, we have everything is server based. So whatever it is that you do, you can always save it to your cloud. Okay, so I have tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. One of the alerts, for example, is called halt resume. I don't have that. By the way, Brad, we really should put that in maybe the active trader window, or yeah, one of the channels should have this.
Well, okay, we can, but here's, if you go up to new, go up to your toolbar and go new alert window, it's really right there. Like, do it. And in the strategies, right there, the third one down, halt resume. No,
third one down.
Third one down.
There. Okay. Thank you, so Brad. I totally. The team is so good, so I can say load settings and then hit OK, and a similar window opens with just slightly more columns. So there's Brad's halt resume. Thank you, Brad. Very good point. So again, halt resume, just another way that we listen to data. We hear the halts and the resumes, Brad. Where do they come from? Edgar, right?
No, these come from our consolidated data feed. So from NYSE and NASDAQ, Amex, directly from there.
Right, so we get it directly from the feed. So you not only see the halts, you also see the resumes. Of course, you can see today's action.
You can also see the IPOs that are getting generated. So as soon as an IPO is released, it's going to appear here as a resume, being the initial trade.
Yeah. Yep. So everything that you need is really right here. It's at your fingertips in Trade Ideas. We're showing you the direction lean. We're giving you the visual navigation. We're giving you the literal description of what the AI is doing in both risk off and risk on modes.
And you can subtly, hopefully, I don't know if it'll come through very well. I can see it through the GoToWebinar, but you can see the subtle green shading right there when the signals occurred. Now there's a darker shading. That's your risk off territory right there. So that's when you're in risk off mode. And then the lighter green that fades off to the right, that's your risk on.
Mm-hmm. So notice here, this trade lasted 16 minutes in risk off mode. And the reason that it lasted for 16 minutes is because the software took what's called a profit save. And what a profit save is when we got the entry and then it went up and we really liked it, but then it started to come down, and right here it was, it was oscillating, and what we were worried about is that we had this really nice gain that was 60 cents, right, Brad, very quickly.
Yep.
And it vanished and turned into, we didn't want 60 to turn into 0 or become negative. That's one of the things that Brad and I have taught the AI, and we use this as a lesson, as a foundation of how the software works. Profit save mode is this mode that says, hey, let's not turn a winner into a loser. So here it took 13 cents off the table, and in the end, if you would have held it all day, you would have lost 20 cents. However, after that point, in risk on mode, it did go up and stay up for quite a long time, for over an hour. And the sell-off didn't really happen until the rest of the market sold off.
Yeah, and I would venture to say that pullback on the profit save right there, it probably just, if it didn't go quite that far, and maybe 2 pennies less, it probably would never have triggered that profit save. It's an algorithm based upon a movement.
Exactly. But the lesson is learned. If the computer is doing here's another things, reduce risk. That's just something else where, hey, I'm trying to do something and it's not working out.
Yeah, why don't you pull up Watt, Dan, because that's kind of a better one that shows a longer duration of being in a trade.
So Watt was a beautiful risk on win. By the way, in terms of profit, you can see the percentage profit breakdowns in risk on and in risk off mode. Here it is, and let me put the risk off because it was also beautiful in that mode as well. So here, okay, so here's Watt. It's called knocking on resistance. So once again, we use terms that hopefully you understand. Resistance are price points where it's tried to go through before but had a hard time. This includes all of this area. So the software studied all of this, the comeback, and thought that this area was a bit of resistance. And sure enough, statistically speaking, that ended up working out quite well. And it traded all the way down to 17.
So let me kind of illustrate this. So this particular strategy, knocking on resistance, it's a strategy that's it's given an hour time frame for it to work out. So it has what we call a time expiration of an hour, a time stop of an hour. And so after that hour's period of time, which is when that dark shading ends, that's the hour right there. And we got out of it because the time exit hit, and you can see over on the risk off exit, you can see the exit reason says it's a timed exit. Right, but that, again, it doesn't mean you need to get out of it. This is all part of a way of managing an account, making sure that you cut your losers, you let your winners run, and it's just a methodology of that people use to trade.
Brad, the other thing you're pointing out to is that in order to create, statistics, we have to come up with ideas for the AI on different time frames at the same time. You know, we can't just be in trades that last, let's say, designed to last all day, but from the open to the close. Why? Well, because a lot of our customers don't have all day to trade.
Well, and that's a lot of capital you're tying up when you're in, what, 14 different positions simultaneously.
Exactly. We have things that are designed not only to work the statistics of the pure direction of the market, but we also employ the knowledge of human behavior and how many people who are trying to trade more professionally or have it as a secondary source of income simply and initially don't have access to all market hours. So we design strategies just like that, knowing that, hey, we need a strategy that will work and focus on the best statistics of, let's say, the last hour, or again, other things that are not purely based on, hey, it's all day long. So
we've got some great columns in here that you can use as real-time sort mechanisms, like the price change over the last 5 minutes or the price change over the last 15 minutes. These are great sort columns because what it's doing is it's always bringing the most interesting, the most active symbol right to the top of this list, i.e. the top of your mind, so that you can kind of click on it, take a look at it. If you're not in it, you can assess it, set a price alert. Price alerts with these Holly signals, they are really the 1-2 tandem punch. So they go great together.
Brad's 100% right, and he's reiterating the methodology that we continue to talk about in the Q&A, which is observe, notate, and act. Observe, notate, act, that's it. And the fact that we create the technology that lets you see the proper behavior, it's like a movie and Netflix and chill and binge watching all at the same time. Think about what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you guys, but at the same time, I'm observing picks that a super powerful, one-of-a-kind statistical engine has made. I'm trying to visually understand, oh, okay, here it's trying to maybe pick up this negative momentum, what that looks like. Oh, here it looks like it's bottom fishing. Now I know, kind of have an idea what that might look like. Okay, it looks like downward trend there. I understand what's going on. So your eyes are learning even without you having to do anything. In fact, Brad, this goes back to our golf. Resorting and re-seeing the data allows you to see different elements without needing to assign verbal.
Well, I think, again, a great way to highlight that, I think, is the last price column, how it's got the blue background or it's got the red background. It's giving you data right there to let you know that that symbol, if it's got the blue background, is trading above where it's suggested that you get out. But more importantly, I think, are the red ones that are telling you that these stocks right here are trading below the suggested stop level. So like this one right here, it's trading above that stop right there. This was a short. So you don't want to be in that short, right? This could be maybe you want to go long, maybe you don't want to participate in it, but these are rules that you really do need to follow.
Well, and also, Brad, you bring up such a great example of you have no control over the when. You know, here, the software got into it, right? And you're kind of forced to exit pretty quickly because it starts moving in this way that the risk just becomes no longer feasible. Even if it backtracks a little bit, and look, it just ended up continuing. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is why you learn the proper behavior, which is the software's like, hey, out, you're past it, you're red, you know, you're what's the, not the parachute, but in the cars that blow, your airbag just deployed. That's kind of what a stop is, right, Brad? It's like, all right, deploy the exit bag. and that's what you have to do, but we show you this
To be a good trader, you have to be okay with deploying that exit bag and moving on and not even thinking again about it. That's part of it. And until you get to that point, you're going to be burdened with a lot of extra emotion.
So let me go back to the presentation, because there's some really important things for me to reiterate. This Q&A webinar, Brad and I are telling you that we are, number one, changing the channel bar so that it's going to be customized. Once again, we're reiterating that you have the longer term exits within trade ideas. That means that if you're a swing trader, every single stock that you see is going to give you another signpost that says, hey, are you close to danger zone in terms of a longer term trend break? That's available for everybody, basic or premium subscription. We are working on full automated artificial intelligence. We are working on other artificial intelligence channels. The first and best place for you to go to get a taste of trade ideas and see how people interact with it is right here in Barry's trading room. We talked about it in the beginning of our presentation. Barry Anderson, the lead moderator, open to close or close to close, conducts the room, makes sure that the best practices are put forward and that out of the meritocracy, the best contributors rise up. Every day, all throughout the day, one of the best places for everybody to start. We have different ways for you to begin. If you know little, or if you want to just experience a different aspect, take a look at our ebook. It's a free one. It talks about what's happening right now, and we're one of the only ones who aren't afraid to say it, by the way. You know, we're not really, of course, this is for entertainment purposes, the bear, whatever. We don't know how long a bear market lasts, but unlike other people, our AI is taking advantage of this bear market. That's where the wins are coming from, and when you see this, you will continue to understand that there is a way for you to profit from it as well. So free ebook, please take a look at that. One of my favorite ways to communicate the value proposition is that technology that we have created by ourselves over the course of 15 years allows us to give you artificial intelligence at this price. No other firm can do that. That's why we're the only ones that have it, because we don't use Oracle databases and Google, whatever the hell they do. And we created technology from scratch for this real-time data processing, recognition, risk management, visualization, and we're never a finish line. You guys see, the people that are here who are subscribers, they'll tell you, we continue to add and improve the technology. We're evolving it as the market evolves. One of the only things that I've ever seen. That's why, again, Brad, it gives me chills when I say that. So excited that that's the kind of business that we run. Look at the prices, ladies and gentlemen. Monthly, $3.90 for your standard and $7.50 a day for your premium. You're talking about lunch and even cheaper on the yearly. So that's what we're able to do. You have a promo code right here, March2 Alpha in all caps. That's to thank you for participating in this webinar with myself and Brad, Scott, Bill, and Barry. 15% off the first month, or year off premium or standard service. There is a Trade Ideas podcast. We just had a fun one last week where I and Jamie and sometimes guests talk about all the more subtle speculative things relating to the stock market, our technology, artificial intelligence, and everything else that can help you succeed. We are about changing the experience of the individual investor. Speculation should not be frowned upon. You should want to control your money. You should need to control your money. It's yours. And the powers that be do make it difficult for us to touch the hardworking dough that we've acquired and collected. But once you do, you get a special taste of freedom, a sense of enlightenment, and you understand yourself better because you understand how you deal with risk. It helps. Brad, you know it helps. I know it helps. Barry knows it helps. And for everybody that's here, you have nothing to lose to take a look and approach it as an evolved thing that all individuals should learn how to do. Manage your own money. We are very easy to get a hold of. Questions, support, answers. On Twitter, I'm at Trade Ideas 1. Brad, someone whose Twitter should not be mentioned. Facebook.
You're the other one.
Facebook, please like us on Facebook. You can reach our overall information email at info@trade-ideas.com or myself at dan@trade-ideas.com. And of course, this is our phone number. We are here. We have skin in the game. We invest ourselves. We use technology. We make technology that we ourselves want to use, and we evolve it for you. So we're not just vending to sell. This is an art for us. We love what we do. Come check it out. Scott, are we all good? Are we all recorded?
That sounds good to me. We have the recording going, so if the conversion goes well, we'll have that out to everyone tonight. Just stay tuned for an email tomorrow with a reminder of where the playlist is. So,
okay, thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you for attending, and see you in the next webinar.
Take care.